What's up, everyone? It's the inaugural episode of Black Coffee and Conversations, a series associated with Black Light Initiative. My name is CT Minimal, along with Rico Moore.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm just relaxing. What's going on?
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, loving life, enjoying the weather. It's a beautiful, Saturday morning here on the east side of Charleston, West Virginia, and we're just gonna sit here and chop it up,
I think we're going to start with answering some of those questions that a lot of people had concerning the seminar we did on the Second Chance for Employment Act,
Yeah.
the new law. People think it's an expungement. I may have actually called it an expungement, but actually what they do is they reduce your felony down to a misdemeanor.
Okay.
So I think you had quite a few questions on that.
Well, I guess one I'm gonna start. I don't have the impression it went down, but I have, this is the first page of the packet we handed out, and just looking over some of this, I'm gonna just start with the main questions we've been getting on the Facebook pages. Has there been a 10-year time pass since the conviction or the end of completion of sentence of incarceration or probation? And people have been having a lot of questions about that, but also kind of concerned, why is it such a long period? Can you kind of elaborate on that for us?
I need to know what specific questions they were asking in order to answer it. But as far as the time period, I have no idea why it's 10 years. That was something that you'd have to take up with the legislature. Actually, this enactment was actually proposed by Mike Pushkin, who's a delegate out of Charleston, West Virginia. And he's, I think it's the 30th or 31st district. It's the actually minority district here on the east end and part of the west side. And I know he proposed it, but that's not exactly the way that he presented it. Okay. I know a lot of stuff has changed in order to get it through and get it enacted. I think the Speaker of the House might have thrown a lot of stuff in there. And how they came up with the 10 years, I have no idea.
Okay.
It makes no sense, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time. You have to have the 10 years, and then to apply,
right.
Then you have to go another 5 years, right?
Right.
Without any type of even arrest.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's the way I'm reading it. Yeah, no arrest, definitely no convictions, no misdemeanors, no anything while you're on this quote-unquote quasi-type probation. In other words, a probationary period where you can actually say you don't have a felony, but if you do anything, I mean, you still a cookie to eat, you're back to being a felon.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I've been getting, people have been asking about if they have drug convictions.
Yeah, drug convictions you can apply. It counts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So drug is okay, but still has that 10-year threshold.
Right. Still has the 10-year threshold, and within that 10-year threshold, you can't have any other charges. You can only have the one felony. Doing that 10 years, I don't think you can have a misdemeanor. But you know what? I've been taking a look at it, and I'm not really sure. I need to do a little more research, but because it is a new law, so I haven't seen it actually used at all. But the way I'm reading it and the way I'm looking at it, if you have misdemeanors, what I would do is I would move to have those expunged if they meet the requirements. I think it's 6 months. After you finish whatever sentence it was for a misdemeanor, so on and so forth. Could be a little bit longer, maybe a year. I need to take a little look at that. But I'd have the misdemeanors expunged. And once they're expunged, then it's, from my understanding, it's like they no longer exist.
Okay.
So then I would probably try to apply for the Second Chance for Employment Act.
Okay.
I think it may be a way around it.
Okay.
I'm not really sure yet, but I haven't seen it tried, but I would try it.
Okay. So, what about violent offenses or outside of anything like a murder, rape, or something like any type of like aggravated assault or things like that nature? When it comes to violent offenses, can those be expunged?
I think there's certain offenses that can't, and they're enumerated, and I think I put them in that package actually as part of the statute. But rape is one. Anything involving violence and a child, I know cannot be expunged, cannot be reduced to a misdemeanor. But for the most part, from my understanding, even if it involves a gun, it can still be reduced.
Okay. So if like somebody had a gun charge, that can be expunged.
Yeah.
All right. And we had our I think it was about 3 weeks ago now. We had the seminar on the west side, and it was quite a great turnout.
Yeah.
What was the vibe you feeling from the people that were there?
Well, I think they were excited about the opportunity, but once they found out the requirements, I think a lot of them felt a little let down. Like, okay, look, well, what's the point of doing this? And I had to explain to some of them, well, at least 5 of them that I know of, that, the biggest thing about doing it is go ahead and apply. Let them turn you down.
Mm-hmm.
If they turn you down, then we can go back and say, well, look, we got 10 people applying. We've got 2 people that, that actually received any benefit from it. We can go back with these numbers and say, look, okay, it sounds good, but it's not really working out, so we need to change it. And the biggest thing is you need to vote, because part of this right here too, you have to be registered to vote. So you got to remember, the same people that tell you no, the judges and the legislators that are up there enacting this stuff, you put in office.
Yeah.
And you put them in office whether you voted for them or not. You put them in office by not voting. So we got to register more people to vote. I think we had 200 voters registration applications, and we handed out well over 100. And then I know people came back and got the other applications, so 200 of them are gone.
Okay.
So the more we register, and the more that actually show up and vote, the better chance we have of getting this changed, the better chance we have of getting people in office that, they look out for our interests, because that's the biggest key.
Yeah.
And that's what I got out of a lot of the questions. I said, well, how can we get this changed? How can we fix it? And I think the best thing that I got out of it was, more you guys vote, they got a better understanding of why we need to vote and how we can change it.
I guess one of the biggest misconceptions is people think if you have a felony, you can't register to vote.
No.
But that's only for federal, right?
No, it's not at all. The state of West Virginia, if you have a felony, once you finish your time, and when I say finish your time, I mean you're out of jail, you're no longer on probation or parole, your voting rights are automatically restored. So you need to go and immediately register to vote. And what a lot of people don't know is if you are in jail on a misdemeanor charge, you can vote from jail.
Okay.
You can vote from jail. You can actually fill out absentee ballots from jail.
Okay.
So think about it. If there is a judge, a magistrate, prosecutor, a mayor, somebody that you feel like is not doing the job that you need done, you got a right to say, I don't want them, I want somebody else. Even if you're in jail on a misdemeanor.
So how do we guarantee those votes get from the jail to wherever they count the votes at?
I don't know. I mean, I can't guarantee him. I guarantee you have that right.
Yeah.
And if we start, if somebody in jail, send them a letter. If they're in jail, not prison. There's a difference. Jail doing a year or less, misdemeanor.
Okay.
So send them a letter. Say, look, man, you can vote. Request, an absentee ballot. And if these people don't get the absentee ballots like they're supposed to, then file lawsuits.
Yeah. All right. That's what's up. And we definitely have midterm elections. Coming up in 2018.
Yeah, we got some big ones in Charleston. I mean,
most definitely.
The mayoral election is coming up. We got some elections. We need to put some people in office in terms of magistrates, county commission, the mayoral election. We need to
city council.
City council.
Yeah.
I mean,
how do we, in terms of voting? A lot of people become energized around the general elections when national, presidential, every 4 years. But during the midterms, the voter turnout is lower. How do you keep those who don't normally vote, or how do you get those who don't normally vote in the midterms or even vote period? How do we energize those people to start getting involved?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think we need to get people running that these people can identify with. You know, we need a horse in the race. You know, we need somebody to root for. Somebody, you know, somebody that we want in there.
Yeah.
You know, not somebody that the other people say, well, this is a good guy. Let's elect him. Yeah, right. We need to say, okay, look, this lady is running. You know, this lady is from our community. This lady comes around us. Hold up for the truck. This lady comes around us. This lady, you know, we know she has our best interest, or this guy.
Yeah.
Either way, and make sure that we get out there and say, okay, this is the person we want as magistrate.
Yeah.
You know, this is the person we want as magistrate. So in order to get him in there, we got to go out here and support him, because when it comes time for one of us to go downtown to the police station, you know, and you get arrested, other than the police officer, the first person you see is the magistrate.
Yep.
That's who sets your bond. You know, that's who has the preliminary hearing to find out whether or not they even have probable cause to take this to the next stage, which would be upstairs to the grand jury to
Yeah.
see if you get indicted.
Yeah.
That's the person, you know, you want to get behind that person. No, we want this lady because she understands, or this guy, because they understand what we go through in our community. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they understand what type of bond we can make, what type of bond we can't, because, you know, in the state of West Virginia, you're entitled to a reasonable bond.
Yeah.
A lot of times they get bonds, in my opinion, that are unreasonable. Who the
Yeah.
hell can make a $200,000 cash only bond? You haven't killed anybody, you haven't raped anybody,
Yeah.
you sold $50 worth of drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no
200
sense.
grand.
Yeah, 200 grand, cash only.
So, and like I think we've had this conversation before, and you know, in Kanawha County there are no black judges,
No,
and for I don't know if this county has the largest black population in the state.
We do.
I would say
we do.
and so there are no black judges. So,
No
have
black
there been-
magistrates.
or any black magistrates? Have there? Let's talk about the magistrates. Have there been any black candidates recently? that you
Yeah,
can think of?
Kathy Ferguson from Dunbar.
What year did she run?
She just ran in the last election,
Okay.
man, and she would have made in my opinion, a excellent magistrate. You know, but didn't get out the vote.
Yeah.
Didn't get out the vote. I've only known of one. I started practicing law in 1996. I've only
Okay.
known of one black magistrate, and that was Miss Starks, Nancy Starks, and she had been magistrate long before I practiced law.
Okay.
And her husband ran at one point they used to have a black newspaper here called the Beacon Digest.
Beacon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was her husband, her family that ran it. And
Yeah. Shoot, I just seen a recent
Edition?
Yeah. Here, it's in my. I got it at my apartment. Yeah.
yeah, that's her son. That's her son.
Okay. Her son runs it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's doing it. But and hell, only two black judges that I know of: Judge Kennedy and Judge Burgess.
Mhm.
And Judge Burgess now in the federal court.
Federal, yeah, that's what I
she's
thought,
federal
yeah.
judge.
Yeah.
But
You know, so
and all the judges, most of them anyway. I think of two, maybe Judge Bloom and Judge Tabbitt. I think they did civil stuff. But I know all the rest of the judges just about are former prosecutors.
so what is that? What's your why do you bring that up? Like, what's your opinion on that? Why that being former prosecutors? Was that so they're going to side with the prosecution majority of the time?
You know, the former prosecutor, so their view and mine is a little different. Their interaction with a criminal defendant has always been a little different
Yeah.
than mine.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot more time to sit around and talk to defendants and talk to the people that have been charged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so my interaction with them is different. I understand a lot of times, when people get caught up in the stuff and why it happens and, what's going on. Only
Yeah.
thing they get a chance to see is on the other side is, well, what can I do to, a lot of times put them in jail, which I don't think is always their job. But,
Yeah.
when you're a prosecutor, you're running for election.
Even it goes back to even like, back in the early '90s, the Democrats wanted to, start to seem to be tough on crime. You know, what's the name? Bill Clinton enacted the what do they call that? What's that? You know what I'm talking about? The 3 strikes.
Yeah.
And they just want to fill up jails so they can be quote unquote tough on crime. But is that really in the best interest of the population? As we know, crime is down nationwide. You know, and so is their job just to fill up the jails, or is it to seek justice?
You mean prosecutor's job?
Yeah.
Prosecutor's job is to seek justice.
Okay.
I mean, by definition, if you look at the statutes and so forth, but I mean, you gotta define justice. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta define justice. In my mind, it's like this: if somebody's got, let's see, somebody's in charge, right? You got $20, right? And you gotta hand it out to 2 groups of people, all right? And you're from Group A, and so Group A gets out of that $20, you get them $5. The other group has nothing, so you got $15 in the coffers, right? Well, now when somebody else gets in office, Group B, well, all of a sudden it's, well, you got to be fair. You got to be fair. So out of that $15, they want to split, right? So it'd be what, $7.50 each side. A gets $7.50, B gets $7.50. But when you look back at it, A already got $5.
Yeah.
So now A would have $12.50.
Yeah.
B has $7.50. A lot of times, that seems to be their version of justice. My version, to me, would be, okay, they got $5, we got 15 left. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give A $5 more, so they got 10. And I'm gonna give B $10.
Yeah.
Now that's even. Now we can start on the even playing field.
Yeah.
So until you look at it from the standpoint of, you know, when we get an opportunity, we gotta make it even by doing our best to bring us up to where A is.
Yeah.
Then it's not going to be even. And our biggest problem with it, and I know you asked me, you know, my definition of justice. And the reason I went this way is because when a lot of, you know, I'll say when a lot of black people get into positions, right?
Yeah.
They always say, well, you know, I'm gonna do better than, you know, everybody else has done. I'm gonna make it fair. And what I'm gonna do is when this comes before me, I'm gonna make it fair and I'm gonna do what's right and I'm gonna, okay. If that's what you say.
Yeah.
But how are you making it fair when you're giving 50% to the left or 50% to the right when people on the left are already ahead 25%?
But here's the problem. You know, we kind of get, as black people, we kind of get sucked into that idea of equality. So what you just described is equality, equal share. But what it really need to boil down to is equity. Like you said, if side A already has 5,
Right.
you give them 5 and then we get the 10. That's equity. But we get caught up in the equality. So all right, we'll do equality. Here's equal. Well, shoot, side A already has a head start. So when we take that extra and split it equally, they're still ahead. And so that's the problem we fall into, I think.
Well, see, I think our problem is, you know, they don't address the past. They say, okay, we're going to start from the day that we walk in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't start from the day that you walk in, right? All right? It just can't.
Yeah.
There's too much history.
Yeah.
So you can't start a business even from the day you walk in. You got to look at the books, how they were in the past, right?
Yeah.
You got to look at the money that's on the books. You got to look at, you know, the way things were ran and adjust from there.
Yeah.
So if you're overspending in marketing, but you don't have enough over here in terms of, let's just say, I don't know, what? You're overspending in marketing and you don't have enough money over here. Maybe you put in the
For your labor.
yeah, for your labor, for employment, and
Yeah.
all that, then it makes no sense for you to keep putting money into marketing.
Yeah.
You got to cut some of that and pay them no attention. Say, look, work with what you have and
Yeah.
spend your time over here with your labor until you get to the point where it's even out,
Yeah.
if it ever does. I mean, that's our biggest issue. So
Yeah.
every time we get somebody, you know, in office or somewhere, they forget who put them there. They forget you know, the fact that
But do we hold them accountable though?
no,
That's
we,
the thing.
a lot of
So-
times we don't hold them accountable,
Yeah.
and a lot of us don't know we can hold them accountable. I think
Yeah.
it's in the West Virginia Code. I think it's Chapter 7 will tell you how to remove an individual from office. I have to
We're
look it up.
gonna have to start, utilizing that.
Yeah. I mean,
Most
you know,
definitely.
and it's based on population. Like, you know, if you've got 40 or 50,000 people in a city, then you need, I think it's 10% or 10% of the people to sign a petition, or the prosecutor can bring it, or different officials can bring it to
Okay.
remove somebody from office who aren't, you know, who we don't believe is doing their job. But I have to look at the code to be exactly sure. But we do have, there is an avenue for removing somebody from office who's not doing their job.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you need to post that to the site, to Facebook.
All right.
The-
All right, we'll add that to our Facebook page. Going back to this, second chance for employment. I think in our presentation or seminar here 3 weeks ago, you said it's basically serving like a life with mercy sentence out of jail.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So it's the 15 year threshold, and a lot of things can happen in 15 years, and the recidivism rate, is there because, if I've already, quote unquote, paid, served my time, unless it was for a murder or rape or something like that, why am I then judged for employment? I mean, we know it's purposely done, because and so how does somebody, who still has to wait that 15 years, what do they do? I mean, obviously there's jobs. Obviously there's jobs you can do. There are places who hire felons, but there are still certain jobs that you can't gain access to.
Yeah, but they can hold you. I'm not a felon, but I know lots of people who are, people in my family, uncles, and
We all do, yeah.
Yeah, I know lots of them.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends. Period. But they can basically hold you hostage, and what I mean by that is, okay, we know you have the skills to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But we also know you don't have very many options to go anywhere else to get a job.
Yeah.
So this is what the pay is.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You got kids to feed, a lot of
Yeah.
times, you gonna take it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you got kids, you working at McDonald's or wherever else,
Yeah.
you gotta provide for them,
Mhm.
You may end up with a misdemeanor charge within that 10-year period,
Yeah.
which means you no longer can apply for this,
Yeah.
It,
I mean, it's just it's
it,
ridiculous.
it's basically, I mean, the circle is there. Basically, you get out, you can't find a job, you're gonna find a way to eat sooner or later,
Mm-hmm.
So you're right back to where you started
Yeah.
with another charge of some sort. A lot of times,
Yeah.
you can't go to college if you've got a drug charge because you can't get that student loan.
Yeah, that's right. That's
You
right.
can't live in certain housing facilities because you have a felony. Right?
That's right.
Certain places won't hire you, even though you may have the qualifications, because you have a felony.
Yeah.
Now, what are you gonna do? You got 3 kids to feed,
Mm-hmm.
1 kid to feed, yourself to feed. So you're back in that same situation,
So would an option be for those, who can't find, employment that's you can find employment, but that can pay the bills? Is one option for those individuals to kind of start their own business, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's always an option.
Yeah. Or is it incumbent upon us who already, have black businesses to, see if we can hire those individuals?
Shit, not just black businesses, any business.
Well, that too, but we know.
I mean, any
like,
business.
Just like with my business, you know, it's state mandated. If you have certain convictions, we can't hire you. Period. That's not a personal belief of mine.
Right.
That's state mandated. I can't go around that.
Right.
I mean, they have to have a background check and all that. And they can't even go through the appointment process if it comes back. We can't even go through orientation or nothing. And so, you know, but you know, let's say somebody wanted to, if you know, let's say you get out, you working somewhere at McDonald's, but you got 3 or 4 kids. That ain't going.
Or even look at it this way. Let's just say you get a felony.
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote a bad check or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
you know, you get a felony. But the judges don't adjudicate it in such a way that you even go to jail. You just get probation. So the judges just said, we're gonna give you probation, you pay this money back, and you do so. You pay the money back, you do your probation,
Yeah.
but you're still a felon.
Okay.
All right, so that means that whatever you did wasn't so bad that you deserve to be incarcerated.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny you brought that.
But you still gotta wait. You know,
10 years.
10 years to apply.
with a second
5
chance.
more years if you can do it to actually have it permanently reduced to a misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that fraudulent check because that's actually one of the ones where we can't hire somebody. Think about that. I mean, writing a bad check.
Now, I understand that, you know, you don't want a child molested in a daycare.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
I
most
understand.
definitely. Yeah.
You know, that makes sense, but a lot of this stuff, you know, in my opinion, is passed by people who have no experience dealing with people who have felonies. You know, and if you take a look at it, I think most of them who actually have felonies come from family backgrounds in which, you know, family members have felonies.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, I don't know. Did you see this clip?
Hell, I don't know anybody in my neighborhood who didn't have somebody in their family with a felony.
Yeah.
Growing up, that I can think of, to be honest with you.
Did you see that? There was a sheriff down in I think it was Baton Rouge or somewhere.
Louisiana.
Yeah, you saw that clip,
Yeah.
and the guy was like, you know, we don't want to release our good black prisoners because they're the ones who mow the lawn and wash the cars and all this stuff. So, but that's the mentality of some of these people. You know, it's just free labor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, we know that, you know, but it's just I guess it's not necessarily odd, but you don't necessarily see these people, you know, actually speaking the truth out in the open like that. You think that's something they would just say behind closed doors, but this guy was like.
Well, they've been saying it for years. People just don't pay attention.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is you watch what happens in the courtroom. You watch, take a look at it. Now,
Okay.
They're mad at these people for saying, you know, well, whatever they're basically just saying, well, we think of black people a certain way, and it's that. Well, the court's been saying it for years.
Well, of
when you
course,
stand in a courtroom and you got a white client and a black client, and you already know,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the black client is gonna get the worst end.
Yeah. Yeah.
You stand in a federal courtroom, since I started in the 90s, when they've got these mandatory sentences, right? And if it involves crack, you get way more time. At one point, 100 to 1.
Now it's 25 to 1, right? But
That's
still
not
too much.
18 to 1.
18 to
usually.
1, okay.
Which, okay, that's like saying slavery is wrong, but semi-slavery is okay. But that makes no sense. So the court, or even better yet, you see all these black people getting killed, and every one of the white officers walks away. So they've been telling you for years, you don't matter.
Yeah.
And they're still telling you that by doing that.
Yeah.
So it's not that these people are so opposed to racism. It's that they're opposed to being racist outside the process. Let's go through the process and mistreat people. Don't just blatantly do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I see it. And it's not on a one-to-one basis where it's like, oh, I hate. No, it's so ingrained in the system
Yeah.
that most people in the system don't even see it.
Yeah.
until they take time to really look.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and if you look at the numbers, though, they say, well, we don't mean it to be that way. They may not. But when you look at the numbers, it's there. I mean, you know.
I was listening to a broadcast about a guy named Jason Black, and he was saying, now just to, if you get arrested, you might never have an interaction with another black, talking from a black perspective, may never have an encounter with a black person in regards to the arresting officer, the magistrate, the prosecutor, and the judge, outside of maybe your lawyer. But
shit, in West Virginia, you may not have that in regards to your lawyer.
Yeah, so
we're only 3%.
So you go from arrest to being charged with the magistrate to the preliminary, and then to your trial. Then every individual is you're encountering with is a white person outside of the people in jail with you. So. I mean, how can we, be guaranteed fair treatment when, even down to the jurors, it might be only one or two, which is still not, good representation.
It's not, but you know what? I honestly can't say that it's just sheer because it's white people. Yeah. I've had all-white jurors. I had an all-white jury in Harrison County, and we walked away with not guilty.
Yeah.
And me and the defendants were the only black people in there. And we walked away with not guilty. So I'm gonna say it's more a lack of enlightenment, a lack of being honest with yourself, and a lack of being honest with the way the process is really supposed to work.
Yeah.
I mean that's my issue with it. So sometimes you end up in areas where they just, they have really, really strong preconceived notions. And then some places, like in the federal court system, it's like based on where they are, they're bullied into believe in a certain way. Not because it's overtly bullied, but it's like, oh, they seem to be leaning this way, so that must be the way that we need to go.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes when you're in there.
Yeah.
Whether they want to admit it or not. It goes back to and I keep saying this. Especially in places like, we're in West Virginia, where in Charleston, where our population has gone up from 10 to 15%, we need, a lot of my friends, dudes hang on the corners, dudes are, whatever, not just clients, those are my friends. So a lot of them need to vote. And if you're 18 or better, we need to vote. We need people like you as a magistrate. Or like Kathy, who ran last time, as a magistrate. You can't wait on somebody else to balance that playing field. You got to get out here and vote and put somebody in there to balance the playing field yourself.
How do we?
I don't think we can't do anything because remember.
We can definitely do it, but I think one, we have to start building a camaraderie, because
with who?
With each other.
Yeah.
Because, mind you, we live in, this population of Charleston, 55,000, something like that, or it's gone down since then.
At best.
So if we're about 15%, we're probably about 6,000 black folks, within this city and in the surrounding cities such as Dunbar, South Charleston, even like Rand or something like that. I don't know what the numbers would be.
Say in the Valley, we're like 10 to 15,000 strong.
All right, 10 to 15. One thing that,
out of like 88.
It's like when you encounter it's just my experience sometimes. It's like when not all, but some, it's no excuse that we shouldn't know or have a certain idea of who each individual is. That don't mean you have to know them personally, but the numbers are so small. Like, okay, I know your mom, I know your aunt. Like, okay, cool. But sometimes I walk down the street, some people, not all, just go out of their way not to, acknowledge you. Which, to me, this is not like in New York City or something like that. This is kind of a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of more, not not laid back per se, but kind of the population.
Just small.
It's just small,
Yeah.
and so we don't have the luxury to say, well, I don't want to F with you, you know.
See, I don't have that issue.
Well, maybe you personally, but I'm just saying, and what I'm trying to say is, we don't have the luxury of saying, all right, well, I don't like this one person, you know, whatever personal vendetta I have is, so anything that they got going on, I can't support them. Is, you know, a population so small, you know, you don't have to like somebody, you know, on a one-on-one level, but you know, if somebody's doing something positive, we need to go out of our way to support that.
Yeah. We're a small population, but you know what? Like I said, I can't say that I have that issue of not speaking because I pretty much know. I mean, that's one of the benefits of being an attorney in a small state with a small black population. I find out quicker than damn near the police, you know, what's going on, because people call me. You know, I am who I am. I always have been. None of that's gonna change. So for me, it's a little different. You know, it's in Martinsburg. I can call somebody and say, hey, look, what's going on with this dude? Morgantown, same thing. Beckley for sure, Huntington for sure, Charleston for sure, you know. And they, you know, I know somebody around there that'll talk to me. I don't mean other attorneys. I'm talking about regular dudes just out there on the street or whatever. Because I you know, my thing is to keep that tie and this connection with these people, you know, and the younger people. And in my opinion, it has to happen that way, you know. So when something's going on in Charleston, people from Huntington and Beckley can show up and support it.
Yeah.
Something's going on in Beckley, people from Charleston and Beckley, Martinsburg, wherever, can show up and support it. Same thing with Huntington, you know, vice versa. We're so small, we have, like you said, we have to support each other, you know. And in doing so, you got to get the same, in Beckley, they got to do the same thing. Get them people out there, them brothers out there to vote and put some people in office to balance their stuff out. Same way in Huntington, Martinsburg, wherever we have, you know, the pockets of, you know, a black community.
Yeah.
You don't have time to be arguing, you know, well, I go to this church, you go to that church. Man, that's crazy as hell.
Over petty nonsense at the end of the day.
That's crazy as hell.
You know, don't really affect nothing.
It don't affect anything.
You know?
It doesn't do anybody any good, because you got, you know, different people looking to get, you know, crumbs off the table.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, look, okay, we want a seat at the table. Yeah. And the only way to get a seat at the table is...
Beyond wanting to sit at the table, I want to own the table.
Well we're going to always have to sit at the table with somebody.
Well, true.
You know, period.
That's true.
You know, you got to sit at the table before you can run things. So, and you got to have people at the table who understand who they represent and how they got there, and they understand that the people that help put them there will be the same people that do their best to, you know, get them out of their seat if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Let's talk, you know, in regards to economics. You know, one thing, you know, the political process is important, but we also have to get our economic game in order.
Well,
so
the reason I'm saying the political process is because, you know, a lot of the stuff that's being done in our community or to our community comes out of the political process.
Yeah.
You know, that is what affects us. But we used to have a vibrant area in Charleston at one point that came through with Cura, you know, and all that urban renewal and all that bullshit. Yeah. And what they do? We no longer have it. They dispersed us. So we don't have a community mentality anymore. Yeah. You know, then we got what left. I can only speak to here in Charleston. I'm sure in other areas it may be the same, maybe a little different. But then you got the west side. But you don't have any commercial business over there.
But that's what I'm talking about, you know, in regards to getting our economic game up and popping. You know, we have to start, you know, creating and supporting our businesses, because it's one thing, you know, have somebody, you know, like I said, as a magistrate, city council, but when it comes to the everyday operations, you know, if I have to, you know, let's say I want to go get a sandwich or something.
Go over there and look over there on the west side at the commercial spaces. Yeah. How viable are they for running a business? Look at the housing in that area, and tell me, you know, how viable is it for people to live in that area, to be able to afford to come and support a business in that area?
Well, it just comes to, I mean, it's just an impoverished area. Just like heard a statement one guy said before is poverty is a serial killer.
Yeah.
So no matter, you know, what city, state, country, wherever you are in the world, wherever there's poverty, you know, that's why, you know, we was at some meeting last.
Back to the political thing.
But we was at this meeting last week.
When most of us are in jail, right? Who is in that community to continue to work, to continue to teach these kids that, okay, we gotta support each other, and when you come home, you're back in that same spinning dry cycle.
But that's what I'm saying.
So now that's what I'm saying.
But when you get out, you don't have. If, like we said before, if nobody's gonna offer you a job because of that, you know,
that's what I'm saying.
That letter on your record, but we don't have none.
If we don't have people in the political positions to make sure that we don't have to continually go through this, right? Then we've got somebody to go out there and create these jobs and work these jobs in our communities. That's you know.
But in the meantime, though, my thing is, in the meantime, before, you know, we get people in there, what's stopping, you know, us from starting businesses and creating? But like you said, you know, it was a
nothing. You're right. I mean, we do need to do it. But what I'm saying is, these kids, the younger ones, keep seeing these dudes go in and out of jail instead of being given a shot. So they kind of, a lot of times, lose motivation, lack motivation, or begin to think that this is, you know, this is the message that's being sent to us, that this is what's going to happen to us, and so this is what we do. It's inevitable, so let's make the best of what is inevitable.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, let me change it. That's what it does to our younger ones.
We need models of possibility.
We do.
You know, and that's, you know, what we're lacking. And so, and it's up to us, you know, to go out there and seek those, because there are models of possibility, but it's somewhat, you know, not necessarily hidden. But, you know, if it ain't an athlete or entertainer, we don't, you know, prop them up. You know, because, you know, only way we see it, you know, that we're gonna get out of quote unquote the hood is through with a jump shot or microphone. And we have to change that mentality, because there's only gonna be so many athletes, there's only gonna be so many entertainers, you know, but we always gonna need a electrician or plumber.
That's true indeed.
Always gonna need a truck driver.
But I'm back to my voting thing. Let them see a black judge. Let them see a black magistrate. Let them see a black person on the county commission at the same time. And let them,
while they're on the
county commission, let them make sure that some money, you know, is put into these communities to help these businesses and help these people thrive in some way, some form. That is what I'd like to see. But you're right, because I know growing up, I lived in Washington Manor. I didn't see a black doctor, a black lawyer. The people who had decent jobs worked at the plants, carbide, dial, that kind of stuff. As far as black people, that was it. You know, as far as, I'm trying to think, man. I saw my first black teacher in the 4th grade, Miss Hill. Then from there, I didn't have any more until I hit junior high school, and that was Mr. Smoot. And then the vice principal who became the principal, Miss Petty, who helped a lot of kids. Her name is now Miss Petty Wilson. She married Mr. Wilson, who's a teacher as well. And then in high school, Mo Harris, who was from my neighborhood, who's also like played on one of the greatest basketball teams ever to come out of the state, out of Charleston High. But yeah, I know. Charleston
West
High,
Side.
whatever. But and he helped you know, a lot of kids, not just with sports, but in the classroom. He would challenge you, you know. So you're right. You don't see in our neighborhoods around here a lot of, you know, black people doing anything else. So yeah, we do need to build, you know, our own models of
and they're out, they're out there. It's just it's incumbent upon us to highlight them.
Well, we got once the ones that do okay. See, they don't seem to come around our neighborhoods anymore. They don't. I mean, once the ones seem to do okay, they don't seem to come around. Hey, you know, and I know a couple black lawyers around here and stuff. They say, "Oh yeah, we go to black churches," but you know, shit, you know, Jesus hung with sinners. So what I'm saying is, if they already in church or whatever, not saying the people in
Jesus
church are
flipped the
great.
table.
Yeah, they forget all that, right? So the people you really need to connect to are the people that are out in the street.
Yeah.
You know.
So, you know, for those, you know, why is it that you know, you said if somebody attains a certain level of success, you know, you hear it all the time, you know, you forget where you come from. You know, should the goal be then to, you know, leave the quote unquote hood or come back and improve it? And for those who do leave and don't want to improve it, you know, like you said, I do know a couple individuals, you know, I grew up with and stuff like that. I have no ill feelings towards them, but they've attained a certain level of success, and then, you know, when they see it's kind of, yeah, they kind of, you know, they don't want to really mess with you like that. But I don't really, you know, I'm not really, you know, holding any type of grudge or animosity towards them, because that's just the way they want to be. That's the way they want to be. But why is it then that those individuals feel like, you know, once they, you know, get some certain position or something like that, well, you know, F everybody else?
Man, I have no idea. I run into the same situation with, you know, I heard people saying, look, I don't want my kids going to a historically black college. Yeah. And then there's the same people, when you ask them who their quote unquote heroes are, they say Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King went to historically black colleges. Yes, because he had to. Okay, if it was good enough for him, why isn't it good enough for you? You got the same books. The biggest difference in college is who you meet, I guess, at the colleges. Yeah. You know, so I don't get it. You know, I feel like I owe a debt to the people I grew up and the people I grew up around, because, you know, what's up, man? You know, it makes absolutely no sense to say, okay, when I'm doing okay, I'm not going around that anymore. Well, what you're not going around is the foundation of what got you.
What made you.
What made you, what got you to where you are. You know, and I'm not saying, you know, we all know it's going to be people selling drugs and doing whatever. Do I go around them? Yep. Am I involved in what they're involved in? Nope. And they respect you because they're like, look, man, I know this is not what you do. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, I'm not going, you know, I'm not going to. But at the same time, I'm not going to give up on them doing something else in life. I'm not going to give up going around them or their kids, because, you know, their kid may say, well, look, you know, I know what it is. I know what goes on out here, but I also see you go to work. Yeah. So I know that goes back to the
models of possibility.
Yeah, the models of possibility. You're absolutely correct. So, you know, it's like, I don't think most of them forget where they come from. Most of them remember and don't want to go back, because most of them wasn't never really in the community anyway. They lived there, but they never really connected with the people out there like that at all. They don't forget. They know what's there, and they want to pretend like, you know, that whatever is there had no bearing on whatever they achieve. And we all know if somebody in your family either, you know, sold corn liquor, sold drugs, you know, somewhere, somehow you benefited. If you're black, you benefited from somebody doing something that was quote unquote against the law. You did, one way or another. There will always be hustlers.
Yeah. We got a plane flying over us right now, but what? I don't know if you want to kind of just wrap this first you know, episode of Black Coffee and Conversations up, but what kind of final thought would you like to leave on our viewers, and you know, or let's talk about, you know, what type of future projects we got going on.
I'd like to do another seminar. You know, I'd like to get more of us registered to vote. I like to make them more aware of why we need to vote and how we can make these people accountable for once we do get some people in office.
Yeah.
But I think I like to leave them with the thought of we need to be thought of and part of the conversation when the decisions are made. Downtown. Good morning. Downtown, City Hall, we need to be part of that conversation. They don't even think about us when they make decisions. And one of the reasons they don't think about us is because we generally don't vote. We may not have the money, but we now have numbers, at least in Charleston, I know in Beckley, for sure, to make an election go left or right.
Yeah.
We need to make them aware of that. We need to make them think about that. And, we need to make sure that we put people from our communities in positions to make sure that we have a say-so on the decisions that are made. Maybe they're not always going to go the way we want them to go, but we'll damn sure be heard. I mean, that's the biggest thing I think that we need to do.
All right. I guess, one thing, like you said, we're going to have other events coming up. We're going to have other seminars, not just on, Second Chance West Virginia, but we're talking with another, individual that's involved with the Black Light Initiative, Hollis. We want to do a financial literacy seminar, how to, utilize your credit and things like that, build wealth, your savings, things like that. Because, if we don't have the economy, like I said, voting is one thing, but if we don't have the economic power, and we got money.
Yeah.
But it's just on how do you spend it. And so, we need to start, not only empower ourselves politically, but socially, economically, spiritually, if that's
right.
Another, and that's not, doesn't involve religion per se, but, we just need to, and like I said, we need to start highlighting models of possibility and controlling our own narrative and stop relying on other groups to tell our story. And so
or to finance our dreams.
Yeah. And so exactly. And so one thing I know we're gonna bring coming up is a little mini series on certain topics. Documentaries,
right.
Short films. We was talking about doing a kind of a photo project. We were talking about and stuff like that. We just have to
couple speakers, couple concerts.
Yeah. Things of that nature. And so I say, we can get this thing popping. We got some good people are excited. I don't want to say excited, but they got a good engagement. With the Second Chance West Virginia, seminar, and we want to build off of that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if anybody in any other cities or towns, would like to, have us come and do something like that, I mean, we'll do it. We do it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is not. That's the thing. This is not no money making operation.
No. No, it's not about money.
Yeah, exactly. There's other avenues that you can use to make money, but this is just about empowering the people.
Yeah, enlightenment. I mean,
enlightenment. Yes.
If you choose to be stupid, if you choose to not have a say and continue to sleepwalk, that's one thing. Go ahead. But I think our goal is to, we'll give you the information.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to help you with it. But if you choose to continue to let other people make decisions about your life, your kids' life, and that's one thing. Go ahead. That's on you. But it won't because we didn't do our best to give you the information. And once you have the information, you have to do something with it.
Yeah. All right, bet. That was the first. I guess that was the first quote unquote episode of Black Comedy Conversations. We're gonna have other people on there, other people who are affiliated with the Black Light Initiative and guests, and we can keep this thing cracking. Good convo, brother. Peace.